Here we are on day 114, 4 days away from tying the all-time record for longest legislative session ever. There was a whole collection of legislation passed today at the Idaho State House, but depending on who you asked about it, it was either good progress or it was a rushed effort. Some lawmakers say they have concerns with the sudden fast pace, while others say today marks major accomplishments, meeting goals that have been set all session long. Joe Paris, of course, following this whole packed day. And Joe, where do things stand right now at the Capitol?
Well, Brian, lawmakers are still meeting at this hour, and if it's anything like last night, they'll probably be there for several more. Last night, Monday night, Idaho lawmakers were at the State House just past 8 o'clock working through several pieces of legislation. I'm told that there's a very similar schedule for tonight. Depending on who you ask, though, at the State House, some people have said it's very successful. Others, as Brian said, rushed. Now, I spoke with Idaho House Republicans that say that the recent work is really the ending effort of a long session full of hard work. Speaking earlier with House Speaker Scott Bedke, he says there are 4 major goals that the House Republicans accomplished as recently as this morning. Here's what he has to say about the big accomplishments for Republicans.
Significant income tax relief, complete with a refund check, a transportation package to address the growing pains in our road systems in the state, as well as property tax relief and tidying up the things that we learned last summer with regard to the emergency declaration.
So there's a lot of bills that are flying from the House to the Senate to the governor's desk, but there is concern, namely from Idaho Democrats, about the property tax bill that passed the Idaho House this morning and is already on its way to the full Senate. Some Democrats are really of the belief that because in 24 hours this went from initial introduction to passing the House floor, that quite frankly the 26-page complicated bill might not have been read by everyone. And some lawmakers believe that there were lawmakers this morning voting on things they didn't fully understand and could have consequences down the road. Democrat Representative Steve Birch weighs in.
Everything that they were voting on, and absolutely no one had a full grasp of what the consequences, particularly the financial consequences of that bill, will be on cities, counties, and homeowners, and businesses for that matter.
Some lawmakers said on the House floor this morning, quite frankly, they did not have enough time to read into this bill, and they're concerned how fast it's going. It did get to a Senate committee where it passed on a 6-3 vote. It is now onto the full body of the Senate. We will see where that goes. Eventually, the governor would have to sign off on any major measures there. The plan is to meet late into tonight and then come back tomorrow afternoon to finish out some other business. There is hope from lawmakers that after tomorrow, they could go home and recess until Monday, giving the governor his 5 days to veto any bills. From there, Idaho lawmakers would have time to react to any possible vetoes. Now, while the major focus today and tomorrow into next week is finishing the session strong, lawmakers are looking back on what they're calling a unique and, of course, challenging session.
This has been a difficult session. Obviously, we've had some issues. We've expelled a member and have done those things in the aftermath of the pandemic. So there's been complications this year, but I think by and large we fulfilled our responsibilities and done them in a pretty good way.
This is a legislature that is so disconnected from the people they represent, that is so ensconced in its own power, that this is what we wind up with, is bills that actually don't serve the best interests of voters, but do serve the best political interests of the people who control and manipulate the legislative calendar.
So we'll be keeping a close eye on that property tax bill as it goes through the Senate and assumably to the governor's desk. Brian, of note, there's a lot that it does, but of note, majorly, it does raise the homeowners exemption by 25%, something that some lawmakers say is a good first step. But already, Brian, people are telling me at the State House they know that the stage is set for next year to take on property tax in a more meaningful way as well.
Yeah, that has to be addressed. And every year it seems like that has to be addressed. But boy, quite the tale of two different cities you hear from either side of the aisle in that outlook on how things went this session or how things are going. Thanks, Joe.